Our next speaker is someone who is today the driving force behind a 100-year-old entity. She has brought transformation where change was unthinkable, because in 2008, the 9,000 crore rupee Godrej empire did something it had never done before: change its brand identity. This was the brainchild of Executive Director and President Marketing Tanya Dubash. Tanya heads the strategic marketing group that drives the development of the Godrej master brand. She joined the family business in 1993. A Harvard Business School graduate, she took charge of marketing and product development in 2004. Tanya, in corporate India, is there any scope to be idealistic? In a business environment so driven by bottom lines, is it possible for a young employee to be idealistic and survive, or must he necessarily be realistic and always conform with the system?
Thank you, Rahul. When I first got this invitation, I must say I found it quite ironical that in a discussion that was to talk about youth, I was being asked to speak for 10 minutes about a generation that lives on text messages and tweets with a 140-character limit. In Godrej, we have realigned, as Rahul pointed out, ourselves to be highly consumer-centric, so I won't risk boring you with the speech. Instead, I will share with you a few ideas that I think are very relevant in the context of the concepts of idealism and reality today as the youth relates with it. Firstly, I think that the Indian youth today is highly socially aware and more idealistic than its counterparts elsewhere. But I strongly believe that they no longer are limited to the ideals that they've inherited from their parents. India today has changed. India is more progressive. India is brighter. It's a land of opportunity. And along with this, ideals of the youth have evolved. For instance, while in the concept of idealism has changed, for instance, earlier it was frugality and restraint and saving and concepts of minimalism that were sort of prerequisites to being considered idealistic. I think that no longer holds. Another point that I think is important is that to touch the youth today, one needs to be contemporary and understand this new Indian context that they live in. For instance, when the authority asks us to stand in a cinema to instill ideals in us, I think it would be more important to also help the youth understand what those lyrics mean and perhaps have them relate to it better by turning it into an iTunes. I strongly feel that aspiration and affluence are in no sense idealism's enemies today, which is a point that I think was alluded to also by Ranbir. Because entrepreneurship that creates true wealth, I strongly believe, can be both inclusive and done with utter integrity, to your question. I think the age for that has definitely come. To my point of change, in India, there is ample opportunity for any employee and any corporate to live and work with utmost integrity and be very successful doing that. I think even in an inclusive sense, it's completely, I think we absolutely as a group represent that, and I think going forward it's going to get easier and easier, and in India today of ample opportunity. In an even broader sense, and to the point that Deepinder was alluding to, I also think that idealism is really critical for the effective working of a democracy. And cynicism and apathy really can't be tolerated as excuses for shrugging off personal responsibility to this cause. There's a great need, as he pointed out, for more personal democratic participation and idealism and personal responsibility for the future. And our nation can be transformed if all of us were to take personal responsibility for this and to ask ourselves questions such as what is the change in me that I need to make to see the change that I want to see. And I think if many more of us were to do that, we would really be able to metamorphose our nation. I strongly believe that we should evaluate as to whether we see our existence as the product of our circumstance, or whether we have the motivation and gumption to really change the circumstance that we live in. If reality asks you to compromise on your ideas, it's time to create a new reality rather than extinguish your ideals. Because it's only really by adhering to your values and your ideals that you can ever create real value. Thank you.